Hey, how's it going, everyone? Oh, this is where we left off, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Cook, I feel kinda weird. Mac, are you getting all strange again?
You'll be okay, Mac. Calm down. Your power won't do bad things anymore.
What? You know about this?
It's weird. This strange power is moving inside of me.
That's the magic of the Eastern Tribe. Don't worry about it. The Eastern Tribe coexists with the forest. They both respect and fear it. They revere and live so closely with the forest that they gain special powers from it.
Isn't the Eastern Tribe the people who started the war 500 years ago?
But why me?
You were possessed by the Crimson Forest, which still holds the remnants of the Eastern Tribe's spirit. Because of that, the power of the Eastern Tribe now resides within you, Mac.
Ooh, seems like a mixed blessing to me.
That's not true. I'm sure it'll come in handy. You should be thankful, Mac.
Good for you, Mac. I wish I could get it. You don't suppose the Crimson Forest would possess me too, would it?
I think I can turn the music down a little bit. I think the music is a little bit too loud for the vocals. And I've seen that happen with other games too, and it's ridiculous. I don't see why they can't just balance things better. We got Mac in our team now. I don't even know what kind of Mac or what kind of powers Mac has. I don't remember at all. There's a lot of this I don't remember. There's a lot of things that also stick out a lot, so. Oh, what's this? It wasn't like this before. Maybe because Mac is here? Me? Seems so. There is a powerful spirit magic at work in this forest. It's likely that everything is coming back to life due to the spirit mage like Mac being here. How neat. Let's see if these things are working then. He's probably like a dark magic user. Let's see. Oh, like it's called spirit magic. Not sure. Yeah, it's separate. It's like white, black, and then spirit. So Mac's got spirit. He's got like shadow. Um, Low non-elemental damage to all enemies. That's interesting. Increase in physical attack one party member. Increases magical attack of one party member. Wakes up one party member from sleep. I don't know what that was supposed to do. But... does Mac play? Oh, he doesn't even have a gun. I forgot to. Oh, we could have like all of them out at once. Huh. We have Jizz cooking and Mac. Okay, well. I don't know. Oh, okay.
I am the greatest!
Max level 15. Wait, what does Mac have that I can like steal? I could probably like steal some casting support yet? You do have casting support. So I could probably ooh. Yeah. Do you have casting support yet? Yes, you do. I think you could benefit from Power Hit too. Oops, nope, nope. Wait. We want Mac. Oh, he's got a disc. Okay, that's interesting. Boost attack damage. Water damage. I don't think that would really. This might help. Ooh. Oh, God. Here recalls a memory that has locked deep within his heart. Reading time. Dream has been revealed. This happened a long, long time ago, on a small island which has since perished. They had an odd custom. They mourned their dead with song, with elegies. Elegy Island. The songs would play without ceasing from the last moments before death, through the funeral to the burial. Elegies would be sung for many purposes: to ease the grief of the family, to recall the legacy of the deceased, to appease the soul of one who died under stressful circumstances, to celebrate one person's having lived to ripe old age, or to evoke anger at another's pointless death. There were no fixed melodies or lyrics. Apparently, the songs are sung without lyrics at all. No documents have survived, so all we can do is assemble oral histories, sighs the archaeologist as she views the island from the deck of the ship. The people of this island country had no rating system, which means they had no way to leave behind the signs or evidence of their lives. Wish we could at least interview a few survivors, but there wasn't any. Every single person was killed. The research team's archaeologist is a young woman in her 20s. Her country is the one that destroyed the island. It happened while her ancestors, 7 generations back, were still young people. I hate to badmouth my own country, she says with a shrug, but they really didn't have to go that far. That far is no exaggeration. Her country prided itself on its overwhelming military force. For it to gain mastery over the tiny island would have been as simple as twisting an infant's arm. But her country believed in oppressing its neighbors with force. The leaders were thinking more of their neighbors than of the island itself when it launched its all-out attack. The island was a mere object lesson. It was scorched from end to end. Every human being on the island, from newborn babies to elders on the verge of death, was killed without mercy. I pressed A. It's odd, though, says the young woman with a grim smile. There are hardly any records left from that time, even in our country. I suppose what they did was terrible. They didn't want their descendants to know about it. Her remark prompts some older scholars on board to clear their throats, at the sound of which she snaps her mouth shut. Sorry, she whispers, you're not much older than I am. You probably don't want to hear about all this old stuff anyway. I do, though. What interest can a sailor like you have in these boring academic matters? Kaim only shakes his head in silence. Suddenly, things become very busy on deck. The boat is approaching the island and has entered a stretch of intricate channels where the skills of crew will be tested. The boatswain calls Kaim. Oh, I'm sorry, the woman says. I wouldn't be monopolizing your time. You've got work to do. Even as she apologizes, the talkative young archaeologist asks Kaim, do you mind if I ask you one last question? Please, ask away, he replies, stopping in his tracks. She looks around to make sure no one is listening and whispers, I'm sure this is your first time taking a research team over. Uh-huh. And your first time going to the island? Yeah. Well, yes. So you probably don't know about some of the bad stories they tell about this place. That some scholars who go there fall under a curse, like they get sick while doing their research on the island, or they become mentally unstable after they get home. I've heard some even killed themselves. You mean a long time ago, right? Right. This is the first research trip in 50 years. Up to then, every time they sent out a team, one or two of the members would suffer the curse. This is why they put a stop to them all these years. So I'm a little scared myself. She sends a mock shudder through her body. I just thought I'd ask if you could teach me some magic spell for getting back safely. Kaim looks straight at her, not merely taking in her appearance, but searching for the person deep inside. You'll be fine, he says. You think so? I'm pretty sure you'll be okay. She looks at him questioningly. If you hear singing, though, he adds, hum along with it. What do you mean? She asks, her expression increasingly uneasy. But Kaim says nothing more. Get over here now, mister, the boatswain shouts at Kaim, who heads for his station. He did tell the woman one white lie, though. This is not the first time coming to the island. He has been here many times before. His first trip happened a long, long time ago. As the archaeologist said, the island's elegies had no fixed melody or lyrics. They were all sung extemporaneously and never repeated. 100 deaths required 100 elegies, nor did mourners agree in advance on the nature of the elegy before they started singing. At first, each would sing his or her own song expressing his or her own feelings about the deceased. Eventually, the jumble of songs would come together with a single melody without anyone singer taking the lead. In the culture of this island, that had no writing. There was, of course, no musical notation. There were no instruments for accompaniment either. Each mourner, in grieving for the loved one, would give voice to hopes for a peaceful last journey, and a song would emerge. Khaim's travels first brought him here when the island was at peace, which is to say, centuries ago. He happened to arrive just after the death of a village elder. For 3 days and nights, an elegy was sung around the clock. The island people's song, which shook the darkness and reverberated all across the clear blue daytime sky, left its mark with certain ennobling comfort in the breast of Khaim, a man for whom fate had decreed that no one would ever sing an elegy. To think that such an island had been burned to the ground, that people fled in all directions at once and were murdered one at a time, it was an absolute bloodbath. Khaim knows about the atrocities that accompanied the butchery, things that were not handed down to the generation of the young archaeologists. Had, its, had it wished to, the woman's country would have taken control the island in a single night, but instead it used its military power to chase down each of the island's inhabitants over a period of several days, as if carefully filling in the blank spaces in a coloring book. The island became enveloped in elegies. At first, while the living still outnumbered the dead, voices in elegiac song all but shook the island with their volume. As the days went by, however, and the dead came out to outnumber the living, the sobbing voices in song grew even fainter. When the battle reached its final phase, the few remaining islanders who had been cornered in the island's northern tip fled into a large cave. They resigned themselves to death. All that was left for them to do was pray that they might be allowed to die with some degree of peace. But even this small measure of hope they were unable to wring from their attackers. The army of the archaeologists' country went for maximum brutality. They entered the cave with every weapon at their command, and they dragged out and killed one islander per day. Today it was an old man. The next day he was a young man. The day after that they tortured to death a young mother with an infant at her breast. And the following day the infant they tore from her was put to death. The elegies resounded without interruption. The singing voices that escaped from the cave invaded the ears of the soldiers who were carrying on the massacre. Those soldiers with kind hearts collapsed one after another, or they went mad and left the front line. Song was the fighting weapon of the islanders, who had no other means to fight. They went on singing as they struggled against starvation, thirst, and their own fears. The commanding officer of the anti-insurgency force ordered his men to fill in the mouth of the cave. If they buried the people alive, he thought, the singing would no longer be audible. Nevertheless, faint singing continued. It went on, day after day. Rainy days, clear days, daytime, nighttime, it continued, but no longer without breaks, which gradually increased in length. The singing went beyond being an elegy for a single person, and became a song suffused with the sorrow of all the living things on the island. And the time this season ended, the last thin thread of singing died out. The army left the island. Not a single record of these military operations was left. Never again did anyone come to live on the island. The first research team in 50 years is plagued by difficulties. one scholar after another collapses. Almost every day, someone is sent out to the vessel, anchored offshore, sick. All of the scholars moan with pain, blocking their ears. This situation is exactly what it was before the island was sealed off from research. Kaim knows exactly what is happening. The ocean breeze sweeping across the island sounds like a song. Branches swaying in the forest sound like a song. Birds in the trees sound like a song. The babbling of a brook sounds like a song. The threading of boots on piled up fallen leaves sounds like a song. The crashing and receding of waves on the shore sounds like a song. The elegy for the island that people sang with every last bit of life they could dredge up from the inside themselves now is being sung by the island itself. Please stop, I beg you, please stop. The scholars cry out in their delirium, covering their ears. I don't know what we did. It was our ancestors, not us. Scholars who moan this hear anger and sorrow in the constantly resounding elegy. What they say is true. It is not their fault. But they have been given no knowledge of what happened on this island so long ago. Sometimes not knowing can be a profound sin. They should prick up their ears and listen all the more. That is what Kaim has always done. The elegy being sung by the island is not merely hurling hatred and anger at them. The island is not trying to torture members of the younger generation like them who were without sin. Rather than blocking their ears, they should listen. If they do so, the message will reach them. For the island is telling them, you must know the truth. You must know what actually... Okay. The investigation ends much earlier than originally planned. Most of the research team has returned to the ship, their health broken, and some of the more seriously ill members have been sent home. It is no longer possible to continue the work. The young archaeologist who spoke to Kaim on the way in is one of the few who have persevered to the end. Thanks to you, she says to Kaim. As soon as she climbed from the launch into the ship, she saw Kaim standing on deck and hurried over to him. She looks haggard, but her fatigue is clearly less physical than mental. Still, her eyes harbor a strong-willed gleam. Did you hear the singing, he asks. I did, she says with a nod, looking back at the receding island. It was so sad. Just as he had thought, she was able to open herself to the sadness. Did you sing along with it? Yes, I did that too, partly because of what you said to me. But I also found myself humming the same tune quite naturally. Kaim nods and smiles at her. This is the first time he has encountered anyone with a heart to hear the island's elegy. This time when I get home, she says, I want to do some more serious research on the war. It's something I have to do. I almost feel I don't have any choice in the matter. I'm glad to hear that, he says. I might turn up some facts that my country finds inconvenient, but I feel it is absolutely necessary to learn the truth, to know what actually happened. The ship emerges into the open sea. A single white bird flies out from the island as if seeing the ship off on its journey. Tracing the great arc against the blue sky, it releases a one-high ringing cry. No longer an elegy, this is a song of joy and forgiveness, signaling the dawn of a new age. End. Excuse me.
Beloved citizens of Ura, I am Tolton, son of the late King Zypher. Please heed my words. At this moment, our nation is...
Oh, if it isn't that little scamp from Ura.
It's the council. I wonder what's going on. What would be so important that they'd have to broadcast it around the world?
That on the Wall Highlands into such a tragedy. I am overwhelmed with shame at the number of people who died in that battle. Furthermore, I must inform the people that His Excellency, the Venerable Chairman Roxian, who has led the council since our nation became a republic, has passed away due to a sudden illness. His Excellency felt a terrible sense of responsibility.
Do you understand any of this? There were a lot of words I heard in my history class.
That to save Ura, the monarchy must be restored immediately. Therefore, in accordance with His Excellency's dying wish, I hereby declare that henceforth the Republic shall be abolished and the Council shall be dissolved.
Huh, Golden Boy is sure taking a lot of initiative there.
It's Gongora's plotting.
The boss?
I don't get it. They're trying to stop something, right?
I, as the first in line to the throne, shall, with honor, bear the crown as 45th King of Ura. Also,
Oh, 45. Oh, thanks for clearing it up. I thought you were 44.
Incumbent on the ruler of this nation, I shall appoint His Excellency Gongora, a sorcerer of vast experience, as my royal advisor and second in command.
Well, it shall be a great honor to accept your Majesty's appointment.
He sure knows how to ham it up.
What? Did he just say royal advisor? He's kidding, right?
It's nothing but government by regent.
My beloved citizens, allow me to illustrate one of the reasons that I reached this difficult decision.
Huh?
It's me! Look it!
They must be planning to invade Ura.
Is that my voice?
What is this?
How should I know?
As you can see, it has been refitted with weapons. Do you understand what this means? Numara, like Kent before it, is baring its aggressive fangs at our country. In this time of crisis, our country no longer has a standing army to protect us. Our army was swept up in the devastation at the Wall Islands. It is in times like these when a king who can lead Ura to victory, like my late father, is indispensable.
Jansen, what the hell is this? Explain yourself.
I'm telling you, I don't know anything.
You've been used.
Me? By Gongora? You gotta be kidding me. I was just in it for the money.
There, see? He let it slip.
Yeah, okay. So now you know. But all he asked me to do was keep an eye on you guys. You gotta believe me.
Then what was that black pearl all about?
Well, look, that was, well...
Kime,
that,
this guy's bad
was,
news. We should get rid of him. We need to deal with him before we look
Did
for
he not
Sam.
use the pearl on the
Gongora
guard,
might
though?
even be listening in on this conversation.
Hey, wait a minute, okay? You don't know the whole story. Let me
It
just...
doesn't matter.
Kime?
Let him hear us. Let him see us. Let him shudder as we close in on him.
You are creeping me out. Man, you know, he's a handful even after getting his memories back. Where did I put that pearl?
Where did you put that pearl? You threw it at the guard. Or does it have repeat uses? How many of the items do I have? Well, I probably could buy some. Might not necessarily. How much money? Oh, I got a bit. It won't open. There are a bunch of soldiers over there. We better stay away from now. I guess when I go that way.
Hey, I've seen those guys before. What?
Hey? What's going on?
Go!
Ow, that... Hey, who threw that?
What the?
Hey, it's you! You're the orange
What are you
spy!
talking about?
Spies? We've got nothing to do with this. Here's your spy.
Yeah, what? Hey, don't point your finger at me.
Ura's gonna attack Numara, isn't it? It's all your fault!
How's it our fault? Basically, just believe whatever the government tells them. Definitely think that we're spies now. We'll be arrested if this keeps up. Maybe it's better for us to get out of Numara for now, Kayam. Seconded. They obviously aren't gonna listen to us right now. How about we leave for now and come up with a plan? I mean, if we're gonna leave, we're gonna...
Get down!
You alright?
Yeah. Fire! Kayam?
This is no ordinary attack, is it?
What's an ordinary attack?
Cook, Mac, now's the chance for you to slip into the smoke and run.
What? No way.
Move! If you stay here, you'll be in our way.
That's not true. We're in this together. Let's go. Look.
Don't worry, we'll be fine.
I say we surprise him by running away.
You. Shut up.
What?
Climb! See you later!
You know, I think they've noticed us.
Kaim?
If we put up a struggle here, we could end up triggering outright war between Ura and Numara.
So that means we should do... what?
Don't move! If you resist, you'll regret it!
So we let ourselves get caught. That's brilliant!
We should let them know fighting won't solve anything.
Then we'll need the power of the Queen.
Power of the Queen. Good idea. You know, me and the Queen are tight. Yeah, we go way back. No problem.
Yeah, right.
You're wise to surrender, spies.
We're not spies. We want to speak to the proper authorities.
If you're not spies, then what is the meaning of this?
What is the meaning of what?
For ordinary travelers, you've certainly managed to get involved in some extraordinary events.
I apologize for pretending to be something I'm not. I just want you to hear me out.
Oh, I'll hear you out. You're going to tell me what Ura is plotting.
I'll
See,
just
now
tell you
there's
what I
no
can.
surprise. They were gonna throw your birthday party. Where's the Queen?
That's gotta hurt.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Idiot.
What's that look for?
Look, it's the only face I got. Come on, man.
This fellow senses something unusual in your eyes.
What?
Huh?
Well then, let's expose those eyes for what they really are. Our country's sorcerers have some impressive powers themselves.
I am flattered, General.
Do it.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy! Whoa! Oh!
Jansen.
Wow, do you see what I'm seeing? Because that's... Are those mine? Those are mine.
Ah.
They're mine?
These are without doubt crystals of magic energy. What this man sees is passed along to another sorcerer through these lenses of light.
Well, I guess we're
They're
just
called
going
spy eyes. And they allow a sorcerer to see everything the wearer sees.
You break it? Please break it.
Awfully elaborate stunt to pull, even for a spy.
You know what was there?
Hey, you know, I am not that smart. I mean, I'm not saying I'm dumb. I didn't know.
Excuse me, General, but this man is most likely telling the truth.
What?
The person in which spy eyes are implanted would not be aware of them. I could tell that much when I remove them. This is high-level magic, far beyond the capabilities of someone such as myself.
Even with your power, you could not do it?
As you say, sir.
Ah, can't believe he was just using me.
Of all the times to figure that out.
I am gonna make that greedy, senile, flea-infested bastard pay.
Huh, you won't have time for that, spies. Kill.
God damn it.
Well, all right then.
There was just no getting through to that guy.
We don't have much of a choice. Guess we have no choice.
What the heck?
Are those your moms?
What?
My, oh my.
What about you?
She's gone.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
So, hey, come back here! Who did this?
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Mac?
Hey, where'd you guys come from?
It was fun coming up here. We ended up sneaking around like thieves. Yeah.
You did great. Let's go.
All right.
All right.
What? Don't let them escape! Release the god beasts!
Oh shit. Wow! Oh, come on. Don't take out.
History. I'm back.
Thanks, Jamie Gamer, for the follow. How's it going? Oh, okay, we're healed. Well, no spoilers might be okay. I doubt it, but I mean, I've played this game before, but I've never actually finished it, so. Okay, ah, missed it.
History.
This is gonna be problematic.
I'm back.
Are you?
Have I become stronger?
Back learn counter. Ah! anything? Oh, yeah. Ah, you missed me. Gold. As much as possible while still trying to at least see everything. Oh, wait. Seed. Okay, he's gonna get me. I should have checked that. What are you doing? We're gonna get caught. What? Uh-oh. It didn't follow. Why didn't it update? I fixed that a while ago. See if I can fix that. I don't know. Why isn't it updating? Most recent follower TXT. Most recent TXT. No, it's not updating even if I do that. I don't understand. Disable preview? Oh, wait. No preview. There's... No. No. Go back to defaults. recent follower. And it still says Lil Mama 99. That's bizarre. The file isn't updating. Supposed to be that color anyways. I don't understand. See if I can... How do you do that? Oh wait, what if I... Can't I do that? Let's go to... That's not what I want. Is that what I want? Oh, login. Enabled layout, fade out. Save. Events. Do this again. I'm using Streamlabs as far as the service is concerned, but the actual software I'm using is OBS. I did have it working. I don't know what's going on now. So I did that, and it's still not updating it. I don't know what that's supposed to do. That's not doing anything. Filters. Play alerts. Mute sounds. What's... It still says Little Mama 99. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. It's simply not updating it. So it's saying to delete this and remake it. Okay. Where's the... Oh. Next. It's still saying it. It's still saying it. And now it's not even there. I don't understand. Oh. Yeah, the text, there's supposed to be a text file that it gets this from, but the text file is not updating. I don't understand what's going on. I don't want to fix it off stream. I want it now. Do that again. It's not updating the text file that it's supposed to. I don't understand.
Also guys, today I'm going to show you what you can do if the most recent follower is not updating your stream label. Now here what you want to do is you want to go over to your stream labels type I mean, and select the most section you want to follow and get the quality better on all this.
That's not going to help me because you're using Streamlabs. I'm using OBS.
So now let's go ahead and let's start adding our, and then of course you can also go ahead and customize the actual text, leave the name and follower which is down here. Once you find it, press open, and as you can see it displays the name of the most recent follower.
Wait a minute. Thought of something. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? You're making me switch. Okay. I have to switch inputs now. Oh, it fixed it. That's what the problem was. Let me just change one little thing. should be working now. Alright. Let me switch the monitor again. Okay, we fixed it. We fixed it because what is it called? Okay, I'm gonna have to pin that to my taskbar now that I know that I need to run it. Okay, whatever that is, it has to be running. That's why. Oops. Fine, I don't care. Run with me to survive this. Oh! Yeah, he has that counter effect now. Sorry, pal. I have a retry, but I think that only counts for velocity, but I'm not sure.
That wasn't very fun.
Whoa! Hey. You're getting caught. I'm just looking around. I gotta get everything. I've gotta pick up everything. Yeah, missed me. What are you doing? It's not. Oh, I can't do that either. Oh. There's an enhancement thing for Xbox, all the Xbox games, but it doesn't work with this one. I wish I could get at the higher frame rate, but it just won't. It's not going to work for this game, unfortunately. Prison. That's what I've been using. We're fine. What have you got that might? Oh, that's a low elemental damage. Oh, all enemies? Use it. Oh. That's gonna suck. Don't bother, dude. Oh, in fact, why don't you just heal Mac? That's one party, okay. Just make it Jansen. Oh, isn't that lovely? I don't know what you can steal, but... I don't know.
Let's go!
Ah, what the heck? Was that a fly?
What a cinch.
Hmm. 46-hour gameplay on up to discs 3. Like the first time I played this, I didn't finish the game. That was years ago. And I seem to remember I got to some tower. And the tower gave me problems. There was like, we had to keep going up, and a lot of the enemies were different. Like, they had, how do I say it? They, you had to have different elements. You had to have like the different people out. I don't remember what exactly it was, but it gave me a lot of trouble. Yes, get.
There they are!
You're not gonna let me get it! I already checked those pots, didn't I?
Let's take him now.
I already got those. No! Someone's gonna die. Or not. Back? What about Cook? We'll see ya. I don't know what's wrong with Cook. Skipping Cook. He's not even telling us why.
What a waste of time.
Max learned level 3 spirit magic. Nice. Ah, dang it! What the heck? There's another elevator here, isn't there? I'll be right back. Yeah, I was gonna say we can't go this way, but there's at least a thing to look in. Fix generators. It went right past me, okay. He's like, I'm not gonna bother you, you're looking in that pot. You're looking at that door, I'm not gonna bother you. He's gonna wait. 6 black pearl powders. Yep, okay. Depth earrings. Oh. Ah, you missed me. Oh, healing potions. Oh, let's see. Oh, there's nothing there.
Let's take him down.
Jansen needs some help. I think Jansen will be fine for this one. Just do that. you can't really do much, so I'm gonna leave it to you to give him the mana. It's fine. Yes. Oh, you missed. God dang it! Dang! What? What? No!
Well, have you fallen for me yet?
I am learned power hit. Seth learned power hit. Jansen learned absorb transfer. Oops, that's the wrong button. Power hit. Okay, so. That would be nice. So you need one of those two. That would be good. So, someone learned something, I think. is absorb and transfer. It allows the user to transfer absorbed HP and MP to a party member in the back row. Thing. Oh, get it, get it. Oh, no. Yep. What? We should go this way and see if we can get everything. Come on. Come get me, bitch. It's not gonna let me through. No, we're gonna have to fight it.
Don't let him get away!
You do casting support on Jansen. Like, that should really help. Ah! Menace to society.
Okay.
Or should I do it? Oh. Cook. 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 What are you doing? Cook. I don't understand. Ridiculous. I don't understand why Cook has a problem. Cook's not fighting. She's not doing anything anymore. Fuck! Are you kidding? What is going on? No. You're standing there doing nothing. I don't understand why she can't do anything. There's no system. There's no status on her. There's literally. Wait, there's a status. And I'm just now seeing it. It's practically invincible. I don't understand. Oh. Now? Okay, I'm really not understanding now. I really don't get this. So now she can? I don't understand. Didn't she? I didn't even see her. Okay, she says heal, but it doesn't say to who. Who are you healing? Something's wrong here. I'm not gonna do it. It's not.
Phew. That was a close one.
I'll try learning the statuses once it becomes absolutely necessary. Wait, no. Oh, what? Blockade? Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna go where I'm supposed to go.
Looks like we got a good chance.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong. She didn't. I don't know. Unless using that particular spell with her just takes turns away from her. I have no idea. Yeah, and it's skipping Cloak again.
It's not in my nature to lose.
Book learned mental stability 1? What is mental stability 1? It uses the interference with magic casting speed caused by enemy attacks. Ah, you missed me. Even though I'm pretty sure I touched it. I think I got 7,890 something. I think there's gonna be a boss. I mean, they put a heal all thing near the save, so.
Whew. Yeah, this is much better. Time to relax.
You all right?
Yeah, somehow. okay? I'm so tired, Cook.
Looks good.
Ming!
Aunt Ming!
Ming!
Jensen?
Please, don't get up.
Why have you come? Oh, you're all... You don't remember me? I'm Seth. Seth Balmore. This is Kai Marganar. We're comrades. Remember? Comrades? What do you mean by that?
Here, let me help you. Huh?
End of the line for you. Your Majesty, I'm terribly sorry for the trouble. It will be over. Just a moment.
Sorry, this will be over in a second.
Hey, Squeaky! Don't care about the Queen's continued good health, huh?
Huh? Aunt Ming!
You!
Get out of the way! You do anything funny and the Queen gets it. Figurehead or not, she's still the Queen, Tiny. If anything happens to her, you'll be held responsible. You know better than to try anything, right? I mean, you're not stupid.
He is stupid. Because he can't really kill her.
Behind us.
Jansen, keep it up. You fall back. Right. Don't move. Don't move. Don't you dare move.
He moved! Kill her!
You get it? Don't
He's
move
jiggling!
From that spot.
You swine!
He could have made it. Dive right under, he just got chopped in half by the door. Oh, the one thing's not there. I don't know why they gave me a healing orb where the save point is, because I would have assumed that meant there's a boss. I don't see a boss. Hey, stop goofing around. They're gonna catch up to us. We have to leave. We can't go to the end. Doesn't matter anyway. You're gonna start fighting with us pretty soon, right? I know we get her as a character.
This guy's annoying.
General Kukunis!
You won't get away this time, because you're all under arrest on suspicion of spying and for abducting Her Majesty the Queen.
Someone had that ready.
You will come along quietly.
That's the only way he could have gotten on there so quick.
Looks like we got a good chance.
Somebody already had the tank ready, and he probably like jumped out a window on top of it or something. Power hit. I'm gonna try power hit. Unit. Oh, that thing. That thing. And everything itself. We can try hitting the cannon. I see no reason why you can't just use this. I've gotta look this up. I can't understand why I can't. She doesn't move after you use it. This is the spell casting time for an ally. The caster generally cannot act for the next. Oh! Okay, this is why Cook has not been fighting after I use the spell. She loses 2 turns after she uses this. Okay, that might be something to... magical defense? No. This is a tank we're talking about. Party member? Oh, the party member. Oh, shield is what I was looking for. Okay, this is what I want. Increases the GC of the front row. GC, what does that mean? Oh, I think I know. Ow! Oh, it's stealing our MP. That's very satisfying. Man, shield up on it yet. Still gonna hit us a little bit. Whoops, wait a minute, that's not what I want. Power hits the cannon. Probably okay. You can probably give casting support to Jansen. That is, unless Jansen... That's fine. Whatever. We put up a wall. Do power hit to the cannon again. Okay, Cook is gonna go first. That's good.
Okay.
Interesting.
Here goes. Your mincemeat.
Cannon. Power hit. Cannon. I want you to keep doing the same thing, but I want... Okay, Cook can't do that then. So you're gonna have to take over for Cook because she lost a turn. 2 turns as a matter of fact. We should be fine. Uh-oh. Yes, a bit.
Here goes! Your mincemeat!
Dang. I don't know. What are you doing? Don't do power hit anymore. Hit the cannon. You can still do power hit. I'm pretty sure she's fine now. She can. Yeah. Okay.
Your mincemeat!
That's fine, actually.
Oh,
Excuse me. I wonder if I can bring the wall up a little more. Continue. You're gonna have to. Okay, you're fine. Bring the wall up.
Your mincemeat!
I'm not through yet! A real man dives in head first!
Yeah, hit that. Okay, you don't have anything you really truly need to do. So I think what I'm gonna have you do is give Kyle some of this. Because he might be able to do some power hits. I think I'm gonna have you put up another wall.
A mere handicap. Consider yourselves lucky.
It doesn't matter that much. I think you should be able to do Catholic support. Jansen. Maybe we bring the wall up a little bit further.
Okay. You're mincemeat.
Still gonna do I'm just gonna have you do a power head, see what that does.
You're mincemeat. Here goes. You're mincemeat.
Our tank is too magnificent to strike, is it? Haha! Don't you realize it's no use? Huh? Why aren't we moving? Go! Move! Forward!
Just why don't you think it's working, huh?
I am the greatest.
Yes. All right.
Ha, you had that coming. Why don't you just go back to bed, start the day over?
Oh, what are you doing? Fire! Shoot them!
Backfires. It's gonna explode! Good shot, but...
Now's our chance.
That's broken! broken. That's how it missed. We broke it. Didn't you see what we did? Broke it. You're the one that slammed it.
Wait.
Yeah, sorry about that thing back there.
Don't be.
Well, I didn't want to pull a stunt like that, but listen, did I hurt you? I'm sorry if I did. I didn't mean it.
It's fine. Everyone is safe now after all.
Well, you know, I should really be thanking you for helping us escape.
Well, since these children were there.
You're acting kind of weird. You got a crush.
Would you shut up? We had a moment there.
Aunt Ming, are you okay?
Yes. Cook? Mac? Why are you two? Did something happen to your mother?
You're able to read them pretty good.
She's passed on.
Please don't let your spirits fall. I'll always be with you.
Thank you, Aunt Ming.
Oh, why would a big boy like you be crying, Mac?
He's going to change from here on out.
Seth. What you said earlier, that we were friends, is it true?
Yeah, but this isn't the best place to stop and talk about it. We need to get out of town.
What will you do, Your Highness? You said earlier you couldn't leave because you were the queen.
I'll go with you. It seems I must.
You'll come with us?
Yes.
Awesome. All right.
Hold on. We're being pursued by both Numara and Gongora. We should probably find a ride.
Ride? Where? How?
Let's go to the harbor. I've got an idea.
You the composite magic tutorial? What? Oh, she must have the composite. Some magic spells can be combined together to form what is known as That's interesting. To cast composite magic, you must be able to use both the spells that compose it. Use the spell book under menu to check the spells required for composite magic. Any composite magic for which you lack the required spells will not be displayed. You can only use composite magic spells for which you have the required skill level. I feel like I might be able to get through this game a little bit easier than the first time I played it. So. The shipyard is up ahead. That's where the latest model is being built. We should go take a look. We're in luck. They're just starting the final adjustments, which means that they'll be fitting the engine next. I better look around. We can't leave yet. We've still got business here. Dang it.
Wow, this is a serious engine.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Eh?
Hey, that engine. Where'd you get it?
Oh, this. Let's see, when was that? A while back, an unbelievably huge fish washed up on shore. This was in its belly.
We checked it out and realized it could deliver incredible output, so we fixed it and installed it in the boat.
Did the repairs work?
Like a charm, that boat was built to be General Kakanis' command vessel. Installing it is all that's left to do.
I see. Thanks.
Don't mention it.
A huge fish, huh? You know, a while back...
Is there something you remember?
I really depended on it.
Depend on what? The fish or the engine?
The engine. It's from back when I was a pirate.
Huh? Seth, you were a pirate?
Yep, that's right.
Wow! Amazing! That is so cool!
Huh?
Oh yeah, I've always loved women who are pirates and swordswomen and stuff. I read books about them for like ever. It was so exciting to meet a real woman pirate. I mean, to make a long story short,
She wants to be your apprentice.
Yeah. What he said. Could I? So, Seth, Mistress Seth, please let me be your apprentice.
Trying to see what all voices she's done. I've seen like Phil and Lil in a couple of the Rugrats games, a few of them actually. She definitely sounds like she has the right voice. One that plays Cook. She's on the new Rugrats. The voice for Cook is both Phil and Lil in the new Rugrats. Not that I really watched that or anything. I've watched the old ones. I assume she might be from that too. Sounds about right though. I'm find some other things that I'm not recognizing a lot of these other shows. He's been on Clone Wars. I don't really watch that. I don't really watch Ben 10. She's from that. A lot of these I'm not recognizing. Rugrats all growing up. Both Phil and Lil. Beverly Jones, whoever that is. Betty. I know who Betty is. So, yeah, she does a lot of Rugrats stuff. She did a lot of Rugrats stuff. Still does, it looks like. Which, that voice sounds appropriate, though, for Phil and Lil. There's not a lot of shows on here that she's voiced that sound all that familiar to me. Little Muriel and Courage the Cowardly Dog. Oh no! Oh no! She voiced Cubert Farnsworth on Futurama. Now that I think about it, that sounds right. That does sound right. Mm-hmm. That does sound like him. I like looking at who voices what on things sometimes. He's been in Hey Arnold, but there looks like a lot of random voices. Like, a lot of them. Yeah, just a bunch of random ones. And that was all Cook's voice actor. Voices, I don't know who that is. Voices Kime. Kime is Keith Ferguson. What's he been in? What's, no, Show All. Show All. Go back. Oh. There'll be stuff that I recognize. There's a lot of cartoon voices, and I'm not familiar with a lot of new stuff anymore. In the past couple years, I just, yeah. Voice of Kai. Are you serious? Oh, this is... Wait. Okay, so the voice of Kime has played Lumpy Space Princess in Adventure Time, Pirates of the... I can't even pronounce that word. She may have voiced for the TV show too, but it just says something else. He's the voice for Reaper on Overwatch. Deadpool video game, Mr. Sinister. Oh no! He voiced Blue! Freaking, wait a minute. Is it just that, or... My gosh. He voiced Bosch in Final Fantasy XII. What else? Keep going down the list until you see. Yeah, there's a lot of. He's been in a lot of. Done a lot of voices on Robot Chicken. Oh no. See, I haven't kept up with Robot Chicken, but they apparently parodied Gritty, who is pretty much just this guy in a suit, this mascot for, I don't remember what kind of team. And, oh boy, I haven't kept up. I didn't know that Gritty was used as a character on that show. But yeah, oh yeah, he was on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and he was Blue. Dang. Blue's like the main one. Got other random voices on the same show. Seeing any more specific ones. Boy, a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of random voices on Foster's Home. But the main one he plays on there is Blue. That's funny. So Kaim is literally Blue. That's funny. So before he was this rigid manly man Kaim, he was this goofy blue creature on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That's cool. I love looking at voice acting stuff. The boat that's built right now is the fastest in Numara. It's going to make its debut soon, and you don't want to miss the launch event. I guess we're supposed to go here. Oh, excuse me.
Inform General Kakanis that the engine installation is complete. He said to call him when we're ready for a test run.
Alright, yeah. Oh, hey, look! Someone's on board! Hey, yourself, you little coach.
What are you doing there? Get off! Go! Get word to General Kakanis! Hurry!
Yes, sir!
Attention, General Kakanis. Your ship is leaving. Thank you. All right. Should be easy. Oh, wow. A lot of buttons there. Gonna need a manual. I think I'm...
Out of the way, amateur. Here goes. Starting engine.
I don't remember controlling a boat. With the slant nose at hand, you are able to traverse the wide open ocean. Move the left stick in any direction to set the slant nose in motion. Move the right stick in any direction to set the camera view. Some areas, such as the shallows, ice fields, and hypercurrents, are not navigable even to the slant nose. Press the right button to move the slant nose's bridge to return to the sea navigation. Approach the cockpit controls and confirm that you want to embark. When you approach the shores, A will land on the bottom right, A to exit the slant nose. To make the world map menu appear, click the right stick and move to the closest landing point. To reboard the slant nose, choose the landing point on the world map menu and then press A button. So where are we going? Oh, okay.
Are you feeling okay?
Yes,
I'm fine.
I'm the only one that's without you.
Okay then, where do we start?
Have your memories come back?
Nope, it comes in fragments. Same as you. Bits and pieces. Please tell me what you meant by saying we were comrades.
Do you have dreams?
Yes, I do. Well, what about them?
Have you ever wondered if those dreams might be fragments of your past? That there might be something turning round and round in your heart, different from the way you are now? Have you ever had a rush of feelings?
Wow, you're like saying more than one word since you've been getting your memory back. Well, you're still as fun to be with, though.
Well, have you experienced anything like what Kaima's talking about? I'm not sure. You know that you're called the 1,000-year-old queen, right? And your body is supposed to be immortal? Yes, but I don't know why I'm called that. Or why my body doesn't age. I don't understand anything.
That must be why Kakanis looks down on you. You've lost your purpose.
It's just that... How should I put it? I often feel as though there's something terribly important that I'm forgetting. And it pains me. As though it may not be in my memories after all. But my heart remembers the pain. There have been many times recently when this has happened. My body wouldn't move, like it was exhausted. And then I would collapse. When I felt this vague sense of unease coming on, I would often play the harp, and that would calm my mind.
So that's what you were doing when we met?
Yes. Kakanis frequently advised me to lift the country from its isolation. At those times, he recommended nothing more than expanding our information about the outside world. But it seems that his true objective was something else.
No, this is what they call fate. See, meeting me was predestined. That means Kakanis just played a role. He was a pawn to make it happen.
All right, that's enough fighting.
Ow, hey!
All right.
Ming, I felt the same as you until recently. My memories were locked up.
Your memories were locked up?
You, me, Seth, and Sarah. And one more whose name that you as queen should know. The Uran sorcerer, Gongora.
Yes, I'm aware that there is a sorcerer called Gongora, but...
The five of us were once comrades. We had a 1,000-year agreement. We came to this world to accomplish something important. For that reason, we were made immortal. We don't age. When the end of the 1,000-year agreement drew near, Gongora betrayed us. Though we couldn't die, he inflicted pain on us that was worse than death.
Pain? What kind of...
He deprived me of someone more important to me than myself. He cruelly stole her from me and inflicted a deep wound on my heart that can never be healed.
I also had something important stolen from me. Gongora used magic energy to block my memories and seal them within me. After he wiped out our entire lives, we became like living corpses.
Then I too have had something very important stolen, and my memories locked away?
Yes.
What could possibly be so important?
Don't push yourself. Take all the time you need to remember. Oh yeah, I have something to return to you.
Return? To me?
This really saved me.
I met you before, didn't I?
Yeah, 200 years ago. I borrowed this from you back then.
I must meet with Gongora.
That's what we plan to do.
He's up to something that involves Grand Staff. We have to stop him. That has become our mission.
Guess that means our destination is Ura, right?
Hold on. If we go to Ura, we'll have to cross the ocean. In a boat like this, there's no way we'd make it.
Even with your engine set?
It's an old clunker.
Oh, it's got power to burn, but the ship itself wouldn't be able to handle the strain. It would fall apart.
Aww.
Why don't we head for Gotza? They've made the most progress with magic technology. I am the Queen of Numata. I shall request aid from the King of Gotza in the name of our countries and for the world's future.
We should look around here. No. How do I... Oh, I see where we're supposed to go now. Okay.
Land at last! Dry land. No more worrying about sinking on that stupid ship. Ow! Hey, what the hell was that for?
The slant nose will never sink. Not with the captain's engine on board.
You think you're so cool now that you're a pirate? Well, I'm gonna teach you a thing or two about the pirate code.
You're gonna hit a child?
And what code would that be?
What code? Well, that would be a secret pirate code that we would do if we had the time. Good luck, kid. Hey, Grandpa! Wow, you have Cook is such a and what a kick! Boy, she's strong. That Cook. Ha ha.
I have no idea what you've just said.
Well, what I'm saying is that cook is as cute as a button. She's just, oh, you must be proud.
You lying creep. Cook, it hurts when you get kicked, you know? But he insulted the captain. Isn't that right, Captain? Captain?
Said.
Who said what? A dream has been revealed. I am not gonna do this without getting something to drink. O wondrous beast, Anera, proud descendant of the White-Winged clan, you alone were my irreplaceable companion. Would it anger you to hear me call us two of a kind? Or were we not, in fact, a perfect combination? You and I, bound together by a single thread, the gossamer thread we know as loneliness. Anera, I owe my life to you. Not, of course, that you saved my life in the ordinary sense of the word. Mine is not a life that can be lost under any circumstances. It is an irrevocable burden. I will not die. I cannot die, and therefore my life was not for you to save. Oh, Onera, what you saved, I now see, was not my life, but my heart. Back then, long centuries ago, I was a pirate, the only woman pirate on the open seas. Seth Belmore, the name was known to all who plied the sea. Some spoke my name in fear and trembling, while others voiced it with deepest admiration. Some even called me the righteous buccaneer. Now were they far wrong? I'd say. The pirate ship I commanded had rules that were clear and strict. We targeted only one kind of vessel, those opulent passenger ships the wealthy boarded for pleasure cruises. We would put a bit of a scare into the passengers, of course, maybe rough them up a little, but killing was strictly forbidden. All we did was squeeze a few drops of treasure out of the purses of those who had more money than they knew what to do with. We traded our booty for cash and with shadowy dealers, and the money we shared in the world's dens of poverty. I would cringe at being called a champion of justice, but we prided ourselves on being far more than villains. I became a pirate for one simple reason. I hated the law, and I hated even more those who flaunted the law for their own self-aggrandizement. aggrandizement. In a word, I wanted a life of freedom. Whenever I stood at the prow of a pirate ship slicing its way through the waves, and I viewed the vast ocean stretched out beneath the clear blue sky, I felt enveloped in the joy of having taken limitless freedom in my own two hands. True, I need not traffic in the fear of death and aging known to all who count as human, and because I will neither age nor die, infinite time means for me infinite freedom. Not bad, wouldn't you say? I would spy the ship that would be our day's quarry. I was always the first to board it, springing lightly onto the deck with a shout. I am Seth Balmore. Now be good and hand over your money and valuables. Then, taking the booty we had snatched, my men and I would raise a cry of victory and leap back into our ship. I was absolutely free. Nothing stood in my way. Eternal life overflowing with freedom. Not bad, wouldn't you say? Righteous Buccaneer, what kind of fancy pants nonsense is that? How about pirate bitch? Of course one always hears such jealous ravings in all walks of life, but especially so in the thuggish world of pirates. Needless to say, I knew I had many enemies. Even a child would realize that being called a righteous buccaneer could only increase the number who hated me among such raping and pillaging brigands as pirates of the sea. But I didn't care about that. I could be stabbed with a knife or blasted with a cannon, and still I would not die. Immortal Seth, they called me, and it was literally true, not just a figure of speech. I won't get in your way, I told with the other pirates, but I won't let you get in mine either. I was afraid of nothing and no one. I lived the way I wanted to live and wouldn't or shouldn't have let anyone interfere with me. I went wrong only once, but that was all it took. In a moment of carelessness, I let them capture me. Of course, that alone was nothing for me to be afraid of. As I keep mentioning, I can never age or die. It would have done them no good to try killing me, and they knew it. The most they could do would be to rough me up a little and threaten to make it worse for me next time. They had to do something to show their men how tough they were. They couldn't just let me horn in on the pirate game and pretend it never happened. So, I said, "Hurry up with the torture, will you? I haven't got all day." We were in a cave on the desert island. I was in handcuffs and leg irons and surrounded by half a dozen huge men, all well-known pirate captains. One of them was holding a long, thick chain. I get sick to my stomach just looking at your sweaty faces. Come on, hurry up and beat me with the chain. Or would you rather strangle me? Whichever you choose, hurry and get it over with. The men laughed out loud. "Hurry and get it over with," said the leader. "Too bad for you, Seth, but this permanent punishment is not the kind that can be hurried. I'm just sorry we can't stay with you to the end." "Yeah," chimed another man. "Unlike a monster like you, we humans don't have all the time in the world. Okay, men, let's make it fast, the way the lady wants." Licking his lips, the men with the chain approached me, and two others grabbed my arms from the sides. They were not going to use the chain as an instrument of torture, but to rob me of my liberty. They chained me to a gigantic boulder in the cave. They were laughing so hard they could hardly contain themselves. "Just what you need, eh, Seth? It's the end of the road for you. We can't shoot you, we can't stab you to death, so we'll just lock you up. Well, we'll never come back to this island again, and even a half-baked pirate like you knows this place is not on any sea lanes. So fishing boats even, fishing boats even, and right about now, your men have gone off looking for the wrong island. We're the only ones who know we brought you here. Not even our crews know where you are. Nobody's coming to save you, that's for sure. We'll be in here forever. You'll be in here forever. Can't move a muscle, and you can't even die. All by yourself, for the rest of eternity." With that, the men walked out of the cave, leaving me there with a single lantern. "Cowards!" I screamed. "Don't run off like that. Don't be this to me." Don't do this to me. But the only response was the hollow echo of my own voice in the cave. The lantern the man left behind was not meant as kindness, but rather the opposite. It was a prop in their little drama. When it finally ran out of oil and went dark, it would impress on me the weight of eternal solitude. As long as the lamp kept going, I was filled with rage for the men. But when the oil was running low and the flame began to flicker, a deep anxiety assaulted me. Unable to move, I stared blankly at the flame. Eternity. This world has no such thing, or perhaps it should not have. Solitude. I was always alone, or more precisely, I always ended up alone. It was my destiny. I could be surrounded by companions whose feelings matched my own perfectly. I could share the deepest love with another, but in the end, I would always have to lose them. Do you know what it feels like to see countless others succumb to death while you yourself are on the road to endless life? Ah, but in your case, Anera, you do have some idea. As I watched the lamp in the cave went out, a world of darkness spread out before me, and there I was, alone. No more would I taste the sorrow of parting, but neither would I be able to taste the joy of meeting. Eternally without end, alone. I did not try shouting. People shout and scream for one reason only, because they want someone to hear them. Because they believe there is someone somewhere who will hear their cries. I did, however, shed tears. Which is not to say I wept. There is no way that the immortal woman pirate Seth Balmore would ever break down and cry. A tiny tremor went through the darkness. That is all it was. And then I noticed, oh, tears are coming out of me. Really. That is all it was. The hours passed. Or perhaps it was days. In the darkness, I lost track of the flow of time. There was something else I lost track of. If all there was left for me to do was to stay by myself, struggling against eternal solitude, incapable even of rotting away, then what was the purpose of my living in the world? Perhaps the man who trapped me here had been right, unable either to age or die. Perhaps I was some kind of monster. Then why was such a monster living in this world? What was I supposed to do here? I did not know the answer to that. I would never know the answer. To the end of my never-ending life, I felt frustration, sorrow, and above all, fear. Eternity was frightening to me. Solitude was frightening to me. I might have been trembling, or without even the energy for that, I might have been utterly drained. Whatever I was feeling, that is when it happened. Anera, that is when you first appeared before me. A tiny burst of light softened the darkness, and from the light, almost before I could wonder what it was, there came a voice. Are you two trapped in the prisons of solitude? Who is that? In the light, a flash of white wings. Then, with a sudden increase of size and brightness, the light seared my eyes. Accustomed to total darkness, my eyes could not stand the glare, and for an instant they could not see anything at all. Grimacing, I clamped my eyes shut before daring to open them little by little. There before me hovered a pure white, glowing beast. Its white wings were breathtakingly beautiful. How beautiful you were, Anera, but yours was not a florid beauty. No, it was subtly different. Your beauty wore a cloak of loneliness. I am like you said. And when I cocked my head to look at you with puzzlement, you continued, I have been looking for someone like you for a very long time. You spoke slowly, majestically. Oh, immortal woman pirate, you and I share a single destiny. You know who I was? Together, let us escape from the solitude and make our way together, he said. Your eyes locked on mine. Escape from this solitude. The words continued ringing in my ears, but I did not know who you were. I could not even be sure what you were, nor could I leap joyfully at the invitation of one I could not tell as friend or foe. Who are you? I asked. I am an era of the White-Winged Clan. White-Winged Clan? I had heard the name before. The White-Winged Clan was said to be wondrous beasts that had become extinct in the distant past. I have heard that the White-Winged Clan died out long ago. I am the last of the bloodline. The only survivor? Indeed, as I said, the last, which is why you speak of solitude? At that point, almost before I knew it, a weak, almost self-mocking smile crept over my face. I felt myself lowering my guard as I spoke to you. My chains, however, were digging even deeper into my flesh and shackling my heart as well. You used the phrase prison of solitude before. It's true, this is a prison. Being alone for eternity is a prison without bars. You nodded at these words of mine, and near in silence. But then you said, I was in a prison too, until just now. I'm sure it's true. To be the only living survivor, I've spent far too long a time alone. I know what you mean. In the legend, members of the White-Winged Clan are thought to live 1,000 years, but even if you were to live on for several centuries, as a sole survivor, you could never meet a female member of the clan of the White Wing and hope to make children with her. The clan will never rise again. The sole survivor must live out the remainder of his days alone. In order to conquer this unbearable loneliness, you said, I would need someone to make her way with me. Then you looked hard at me and said, Oh, pirate woman, are you not one of the same mind? I nodded in agreement. But then I made a point of smiling and said as casually as I could, in other words, you're lonely. Your beautiful face softened and you said with some embarrassment, I wonder. According to the legend as I have heard it, the clan of the White Wing are proud and love their solitude. This only increased your embarrassment, and you said solitude has its limits. That did it. I decided to trust you then and there. Well, if that's how you feel, you should come right out and say it. I want company. Company? Alright, a companion. A companion? Exactly, so it's decided. I'll team up with you. That ended all hesitation, just as you saw in me one to make your way together with. I put my full trust in you. Let's go wild on the high seas, I cried. Isn't that what make our way together means? You mean that I should become a pirate? You don't like the idea? You paused for the space of one breath and chuckled softly. I've always wanted to give it a try. No sooner were the words out of your mouth than you leaped at me. With one bite you cut through the thick chain that held me down. Oh, wondrous beast of Nera, proud descendant of the White-Winged Clan. This was how you and I first met. In the 900 years since then, we raged over the open sea more wildly than I ever had before, and when I stood up at the prow of our pirate ship in search of prey, you were always there beside me. We became irreplaceable partners, friends, companions, family. End.
Seth?
Cook?
You're crying.
I remembered some things from a long time ago.
You mean when you were a pirate? And remembering made you cry?
I've always been a pirate. I was crying because of something that happened that I regret.
Look, it's Kyle! Hey, everybody! Kime's back! It's good to see you again, Kime. But, you haven't changed a bit.
It's an Kime. Look, it's been a long voyage, and I'm sure you're tired, so why don't we call it a day here, okay? Who talked to you? There are two... Yeah, there's like two symbols here. Oh, hey, Kime. You're Kime, right? My grandfather told me all about you. He gave this to me as a keepsake. It's really valuable to us, but it's what you used to protect our village, right? So here, Kime, I want to return it to you. Magic-powered locator. Hey, Kime, try it out now. I've hidden a treasure somewhere inside the village. See if you can find it. Here's a hint. It's hidden somewhere way up high. It's yours if you can find it. Treasure that's really high up lies in Tosca. Using magic-powered locator, you'll be able to look for treasures hidden all over the world. But to find treasures, you must obtain information on the whereabouts of those treasures. Once you get information on the treasure, it will appear on the treasure screen within the item menu. When you have your magic-powered locator and information, there will be a glowing point on the navigation map where you enter the area in which the treasure is hidden. The treasure is hidden at the glowing point. Search for it in the nearby area. You can increase the output of the magic-powered locator, enabling you to find a lot more treasure than the level 1 locator. been in my fair share of battles, but one day, just as I was swinging my sword at someone, I suddenly thought, man, I wish I could have been a baker. I have no idea how I thought that came to me. But after that battle, I quit the army. I've made my living baking bread ever since. Khan recalls a memory that was locked deep within his heart. Damn it. A dream has been revealed. The hero was home from the war. He had performed gallantly on the battlefield, advanced in the rank of general, and made a triumphal re-entry into the village of his birth. The villagers welcomed him with festive celebration. The grown-ups were treated to drinks beginning in the afternoon, and the children received sweet confections. The cattle and sheep in the pasture that supported the villagers' livelihood, whether because they were excited by the unusual commotion or were welcoming the hero in their own way, sent especially shrill cries reverberating into the blue summer sky. General, you are the pride of our village. Obviously full of pride himself, and the head of the village thrust out his chest as he delivered his congratulatory address in the welcoming ceremony. To think that the foremost hero in the army came from this tiny village is so incredibly exhilarating and gratifying. I am sure our ancestors are overjoyed as well. The throng crammed into the village square burst forth with cheers and applause. According to the official figures released by the army the other day, General, you brought down at least 2,000 enemy soldiers with your own hand. A thunderous roar shook the square. Come to think of it, the population of this village is less than 1,000. This means, sir, that you managed to bury more than 2 of these villages worth on your own. How fortunate of us that you were not one of the enemy. If by any chance there had been a warrior of your caliber on their side, we'd all be resting in a hilltop graveyard by now. A few of the women frowned momentarily at the remark, but the men, full of liquor, responded with an explosive laugh. Sitting stage center, the general lightly stroked his dignified beard. No one present knew that this was his habit whenever he was perplexed. When he left his village to join the army, he was just an ordinary soldier, a long way from growing a beard. General, you are truly the savior of our army and, indeed, of our entire nation. I understand you will be leaving for another battle tomorrow, but we all hope that you will thoroughly enjoy yourself on the rare visit to your birthplace. The village chief ended his greetings and withdrew to the wings, whereupon the village's #1 entertainer bounded into the stage in the most comical way he could manage. Dear General, he cried, running over to where the general man was seated and going down on his knees. Oh, hear my plea. The general looked at him uncertainly. Is there any possibility that you would lend me the sword at your side, if only for a moment? Perplexed though he was by all this, the general, impelled by this audience's applause and cheers, handed the man his tasseled and jewel-encrusted sword. The man bowed deeply as the sword entered his outstretched hands, and again he cried, My gratitude knows no bounds. Pretending to stagger under the weight of the sword, he came to the front edge of the stage and held the weapon aloft. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will reenact the event that raised our dear general's fame to the heights of a single bound, when he hacked 18 of the enemy into tiny bits. The audience cheered wildly, and the man, with exaggerated movements and commentary, swung the sword in a great arc. The audience knew exactly what he was doing. The general had not only made a name for himself for his strategic prowess, but was also widely acclaimed as a warrior on the battlefield. He did not rely solely on his weapons, but in the end leveled his opponents with his sheer physical strength. This, too, was a matter of the utmost pride for the villagers. Here we go. 1 man down. 2 men down. Flip the sword back. 3 men down. 4th man slashed diagonally right through the shoulder. 5th man's head goes flying. Oof. Then 3 at once. 6th, 7th, and 8th man. What a bother. I'll just skewer you like this. The man thrust the sword through 3 imaginary opponents, and the crowd went wild. The general, too, broke into a smile and applauded. When he was through clapping, though, he stroked his beard again. I'm sure you can understand how I felt at the time. Sitting up there on the stage, the old general says to Kime before taking a sip of water from his leather pouch, his magnificent beard is completely white, so distant are the past events he is recounting. Kime nods in silence, and the general continues as if mulling over every word. The more you know about war, the more you feel that way. I'm sure the villagers meant well. They just wanted to pay homage to their hometown hero. No, of course, they weren't being the least bit of malicious. My village has the nicest people in the world, which is exactly why I found the whole thing so painful. I couldn't stand it after a while. Hacking 18 men to bits? The deeds of a hero are related in numbers. Surely the man who playfully swung the general's sword on stage that day could never have imagined the ones who lost their lives in the battlefield. The agonized expressions on their faces, the curse in their eyes as they stared into nothingness. But that's all right, too. People who live peaceful lives don't have to know about such things. That's what people like us are for. To keep their lives far away from the battlefields. Don't you agree? Thanks to us and our killing of enemies, the people we're supposed to protect don't have to know anything about the bloodiness of war. Unless you believe that, what's the point of people killing each other? Kime says nothing in reply. Without either affirming or negating the old general's words, he stares vaguely at the general's troops. What did you say your name is? Kime? I suppose you've killed more enemy soldiers than you begin to count. There is no way I could count them all. I thought so. You have a flawless build, the kind that can only be tempered by the battlefield. Only a man who has survived one battle after another can carry himself that way, the way you do, with a complete unnaturalness. What does a man like you find himself driving a horse cart over a mountain pass? Kime is ready to leave without answering if the old man asks him such a question. But the general inquires no further into Kime's background. Instead, there is a sense of relief in the smile he bestows on the sight of Kime, resting his horses in at the pass. I was 16 the first time I went to battle. After that, I just kept running from one fight to another until I made it all the way to General. At first, I remembered the faces of the men I crossed swords with and killed. Even if you don't try to remember them, they get carved into your memory. I had terrible nightmares, and try as I might, I could never seem to wash off the stench of blood that splashed on my face and hands. That was a hallucination, of course, but it got so bad once that I spent a whole night in a river trying to wash myself off. The general paused a moment to think about his story, then went on. But after a while, you get used to it. You get used to fighting and killing over and over again. Your body and your mind and your heart, you just get used to it. That's how people are. So I stopped having nightmares. I killed all the enemy soldiers I could lay my hands on, and I forgot every one of their faces. It's the same for you now, too, Kime, isn't it? Maybe so. It's like a curse. If you don't get used to it, your heart breaks. On the other hand, if you do get used to it, your heart probably ends up breaking someplace deeper down. The general casts a fond glance toward his resting troops, then slowly shifting his gaze far down to the foot of the mountain, he says, "So that's what it was like to be back then, when I returned to my birthplace in triumph. For the final event in the welcoming ceremonies, several children mounted the stage, and now in honor of our hero, the children will present the general a floral wreath more marvelous than the greatest medal there ever was." The audience went wild again. When the children put the wreath on his neck, the general favored him with a warm smile, and the first honest smile from the heart that he had managed since climbing into the stage. And finally, as a special treat for the general, who has been galloping from one battlefield to the next far from a native place, the children's chosen representative will read his own original composition, spelling out the joys of the peaceful life of the village. With a look of grim intensity, a small boy barely old enough to go to school unfolded his composition and, gripping it in two hands, began to read aloud from it, straining to make himself heard. First, I'm going to write about one of the nicest things that happened to me. At my house, we have a pasture with lots of cows and sheep. One cow had a baby 2 days ago. I helped my daddy by stroking the cow's back and a handful of straw while she was having the baby. That makes the cow warm up so it's easier for her to give birth. The baby was born just before the sun came up. It was a tiny baby, but it could already stand on its own legs. A baby. Wow, I'm going to take care of this baby until it gets big. Dear little calf, hurry up and grow up, okay? The general had tears in his eyes. Now I'm going to write about one of the saddest things that happened to me. That was when Grandma got sick and died. She was such a nice grandma. I know her sickness made her feel bad, but she was always smiling when I was around. She let me hold her hand when she died. I watched her face the whole time because I knew I wouldn't be able to see her anymore, and I wanted to remember her even after I grow up. She just kept smiling and smiling for me right to the very end. That's why she is always smiling when I think of her. Are you looking down on me from the sky, Grandma? I will never forget you as long as I live. Tears were streaming down the general's face. When the ceremony ended, the general left his village and headed for the town where army headquarters were located. There he wrote a long letter to the king, and he gave his sword to his most trusted lieutenant. The general had decided to retire. This was a big surprise to me, as it was to anybody. But when I heard the little boy's essay, it occurred to me, what makes us really human is to celebrate each life that comes into the world and mourn each life that is lost. I didn't need medals anymore. I didn't need the honor of being allowed into the presence of His Majesty anymore. I wanted to be a real human being again. As a result, overnight I went from being the village hero to being reviled as a traitor. The general turns to face Kaim and asks, "So are you going to mock me as a coward who ran away from the battlefield, or blame me for being a deserter who betrayed his own patriotism?" Kaim turns a gentle smile on the old man. "Neither," he says. "As a soldier, you made the wrong decision, but as a human being, you made the right one." The general strokes his white beard and says, "My habit has changed, too. Nowadays, I find myself stroking my beard when I'm embarrassed." The two men look at each other and smile. "Okay, back to work," says the general, standing with a grunt. He calls out to his troops, "Alrighty, man. It's all downhill from here. Let's give it one last push and get back to the village before sunset." The troops under the general's command consist of 30 sheep, not one of whom is likely to take a person's life. "Tell me, Kaim, are you planning to go back into battle at some point?" "I don't really know," he replies. "I'm content with herding sheep for now," the general says. "I don't have the least regret for the decision I made that day. It would make me happy to think this could be a kind of lesson for you." With this parting remark, the general turns away from Kaim and begins walking. The sheep amble along after him in the newly reformed ranks. Standing at attention, the general raises his right arm and waves his troops on. "Forward march!" The command he had once delivered to tens of thousands of men in the battlefield now echoes pleasantly among the mountains of his native village. End. There's treasure hunt information in that. Oh man. Oh yeah. No tank. We should go in here first. Kitty. But really, Cam, why don't you stay here tonight? Everyone's overjoyed to see you back. Yeah. There's a ladder here. I see. Excuse me. This would be on the waterfall. Luce's pet. Oh, sure. Okay, so wait a minute. We completed that one. I'm almost certain it's up here, and I searched over here before, but I didn't find anything. Gotta be here, though. It lies in the highest place in Tosca. Is this the highest place, though? Gotta be another. Oh. Is this the highest place? Dark crystal staff, a dark crystal ring. find it? Yes, we did. Oh, we only have time right now. We can't. You have that. You can't equip that. That's fine.
I'll go speak with the king. We've never met, but I've heard he's very wise. I'm confident that he has a ship that can get us past the hypercurrents.
Wow, that hit the spot. You know, I'm finally starting to feel at home. No.
Are you even listening to me?
There's a time and place for that stuff, and this is neither. Tell me, is it really true you can't drink?
Yes.
That is so sad. But you're a queen. I mean, don't you have wine or champagne at parties or banquets, hangings, any festive thing like that?
No.
Well, look it. Nobody knows us here. Come on, just give it a try. I guarantee you'll like it. Really. It won't kill you, I promise. In fact, I bet if you take a couple drinks, you might get your memory back. Yeah, it relaxes the mind and other things.
You think so?
Absolutely. Hey, look at me. You're talking to Jansen here.
It relaxes the
Bottoms
mind.
up.
I think it awaken
Bottoms
memories.
up.
That would make the mind work.
What?
Certainly not
You
what
don't like the
alcohol
cheap
would
stuff?
No, it's just I've never tasted anything like it before.
You don't have to force yourself to drink it.
No, I want my memory back. If there's any chance this will help, I'll manage to drink it.
Please, please don't make me do it again. Good lord. Chug, 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 chug.
Are you, okay?
Ooh, I feel very lightheaded all of a sudden. It's affecting me like you said it would. Oh, your muscles
Yeah, well,
are so...
You only had one. Wow. Lightweight.
Oh, no. You know, you're cute when you're asleep.
Jansen! What? Oh!
What the hell do you think you're doing?
We was having a serious discussion about, you know, what's going to happen next and planning.
Happen next?
Yeah. You know, she's going to talk to the king and get us a ship because yours can't float where the... You know, after all, Goats has got the most advanced technology around. We'd figure we'd get a more seaworthy ship from him. So that, you know... What?
All right. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time. But don't try any funny business with Ming.
Yeah, well, I'm looking out for her too, you know. I mean, look how restful she looks right now.
As long as a grown adult and an immortal, she can take care of herself. She doesn't need you, Seth. Well done. Feed. The hell? Who would ever have found that unless they just like that? Wow. How did I manage that? I mean, it wasn't really anything good, but still. No. Okay.
Hey, Kime! I heard you were back.
This place takes me back. And it looks like the years have been good to you.
Knock it off. I'm a bona fide old man now.
Well, if you don't mind my saying so, you've aged really well.
Thanks, honey. Drink up. This is on the house.
Well, that is mighty nice. I don't mind if I do. Can I have that big, large mug over there?
I was only 7 when you saved the village, but I remember you as if it were yesterday. You were a hero to us kids back then.
Yeah? So, we're trying to get to Gotza.
Ah, forget it. The only way is through the Black Cave.
I heard it'd been closed off by some old sorceress.
There's nothing to be afraid of. We'll just bust our way through.
It's not that simple. Neither muscle nor magic have had any effect. Although adventurers with plenty of both have tried. My guess is that only that old sorceress can bust through the blockage. She's got some serious magic energy. Yep, she sure does.
Why don't we wait until she goes to the bathroom? Then we can, sneak by her.
Oh, it gets better. You know that place where you and Sarah lived? Well, that old sorceress has moved in.
My house?
What? Hey, you don't even have a lease agreement?
We kept the place up after you and Sarah went away, so it'd be ready if you ever came back. But I'm afraid she's made a mess of it. Sorry.
Don't trouble yourself. It saves us the hassle of having to look for her.
That's a good point.
The only thing to do with squatters is run them out.
Well, I think you'll be okay. Just be careful, Kime.
We're off to kick some old woman's butt.
That doesn't sound right.
You're not gonna go off and leave Ming like this, are you?
We'll head out there tomorrow morning.
Okay, we got everybody back. Oh. Oh. Don't know if that's necessary with her. Let's see what that does, what she's got. We got black and white magic level 3. What else can I teach her? What can Mac teach her? Here, magic 3 might be good. Okay, we don't need. Well, she's got she's the one with composite magic. That makes sense. We don't have any composite magic. Oh, there's the staff. There's the staff. Maybe? Yeah. Welcome, have a look. Forewarned is forearmed, as they say. I don't want healing medicine. I do want healing herbs now. Ah! Spell stuff now. Oh. I just need to do. Okay, I think I have these. I think that would be a good idea to keep that. I don't. I don't think I want to sell any of that stuff. So let's just be a good idea to go back and save. If you're tired, feel free. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I see. Duh, because it is an N and a bar. Go to the Black Cave. Okay. So we're here. Oh, that's another. Okay, we want to go here. I think. Man. Old Sorceress Mansion. It's not her mansion, it's mine. So this is the home of the old sorceress. It gives me the creeps. It's so strange. I can feel an intense magic energy. It's covering an entire mansion. That means the old sorceress is here, right? In any case, we've got to find that woman. I'm scared. Don't be such a scaredy cat, Mac. That's for so scary. What's so scary? This is the house where Mom used to live with Kaim and everyone. I know, but someone else is living here now. That's, well, yeah, but look, let's just be careful, okay? We don't have any idea what we'll find inside. I'll be right back. Ah. Oh, whoa! Did you just see that? Over here? Soul medicine obtained. Jinkies. Oh dear. What the hell was that? Thus all the lives thus flow. Thus do they fade away.
What's that? They look like pieces of a poem.
The sorceress did this. She made a mess of everything. Let's get rid of her for good.
I'm like a stickler for saving. It went into the mirror. Fragment B. Warmth brings no solace. I can't read any more of this. It's all falling apart. Okay.
Don't let him get away! Okay.
Well, an arrow. Yes. I have no idea. Just 2 seconds. They learned combo rank, so. It's a bit dirty, but it's just a regular mirror, isn't it? But I swear something went in there just now. It seems like something was broken off the frame right here. I think I remember a jewel of some kind fitted in there as decoration. Or the jewel is some sort of key. The other door. No, let's go this way. Let's go straight ahead. Wait, there's a door here. Oh, it won't come up on our map, so it's nothing. Okay, that's nothing too. Actually, shouldn't we like switch out Ming? How do you do that? Formation? Okay, you definitely can't have
Are you some kind of beast?
God damn it. It's not what I wanted. No, that's not what I wanted. What the hell? Oh, if she has shine, she can just do it on one enemy.
It appears I've still got a lot to learn.
Honestly, I think we should probably stop here. We'll pick this up next month. And next week we will be going back to Near Automata. Okay. And good night.